Every evening at exactly 7:15 p.m., a poor little girl stood quietly outside one of the most expensive restaurants in the city. She never begged. She never spoke. She only waited. When the doors finally opened, she would take a small bag of leftovers, bow her head, and disappear into the dark streets. One night, a millionaire noticed something disturbing about her. The next day, he decided to follow her. What he discovered shocked him to his core, and would change both of their lives forever. Part 1. The Millionaire Who Had Everything. Ethan Blackwood was a man who had won at life, at least that's what the world believed. At 42, he owned 3 luxury hotels, 2 tech companies, a penthouse overlooking the city. More money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes. Yet every night Ethan ate alone. No wife, no children, no family dinners, just silence and regret. That evening, Ethan sat inside Le Chateau Bleu, his favorite high-end restaurant. Crystal chandeliers glowed above him as waiters moved like shadows. He barely touched his food. "Sir, would you like this packed?" the waiter asked politely. "Yes," Ethan replied absent-mindedly. As usual. That was when he saw her. Through the glass doors, a little girl, no older than 8, stood across the street. She wore a thin, oversized sweater. Her shoes were worn, the soles nearly torn off. Her hair was tied with a faded ribbon. And yet, she stood with perfect patience. Not desperation, patience. Part 2. The Girl Who Never Asked for Anything. Ethan frowned. He had seen beggars before. Hundreds of them. But this was different. She didn't approach customers. She didn't cry. She didn't knock on the door. She simply waited. When the waiter finally stepped outside with a small paper bag, the girl approached slowly. She accepted it with both hands. Then she did something that made Ethan freeze. She bowed, a deep, respectful bow, and ran away. Ethan felt something twist inside his chest. "Who is that girl?" he asked the waiter sharply. "Oh, her?" The waiter shrugged. "She comes every day, never asks for money, just takes leftovers. Very polite." "Where does she live?" The waiter shook his head. "No idea." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. The image of that bow haunted him. Part 3. A decision that changed everything. The next evening, Ethan returned to the restaurant earlier than usual. He didn't order much. He watched the street. At exactly 7:15 p.m., she appeared. Same sweater, same ribbon, same quiet patience. When she took the leftovers and turned away, Ethan stood up. "Cancel my meetings," he muttered into his phone. Then, from a distance, he followed her. Carefully, quietly, the little girl walked fast, but her steps were light, almost practiced. She crossed busy roads, narrow alleys, and dimly lit streets. Finally, she stopped. Ethan's breath caught. Part 4. The shocking place she called home. She entered an abandoned apartment building. The windows were broken. The walls were cracked. No electricity. Ethan's heart pounded. From the shadows, he watched her climb 3 flights of stairs. A dim candle flickered inside one room. He stepped closer, and then he heard coughing. Weak, constant. The girl spoke softly. "Mama, I'm home."
Mama?
Ethan looked through the cracked doorway. Inside, a young woman lay on a thin mattress, her face pale, her body shaking with fever. The girl carefully opened the bag of leftovers. She separated the food, half on a plate, half wrapped back up. "You eat first," the girl whispered. The woman shook her head weakly. "No, you need it." The girl smiled gently. "I already ate at school." Ethan knew. She was lying. Part 5. A truth too heavy to ignore. Ethan stumbled back, his hands trembling. A child, feeding her sick mother with leftovers. Every single day. That night, Ethan cried for the first time in over 20 years. Memories flooded back. His own childhood. His mother working 3 jobs. Her coughing in the night. And the day she died. Because they couldn't afford treatment. He had promised himself he would never be powerless again. Yet here he was, rich beyond imagination, walking past suffering every day. The next morning, Ethan made a decision. Part 6. The Millionaire's Secret Plan. Instead of going to his office, Ethan went to the hospital. He arranged for a doctor, one of the best in the city. That evening, he returned to the abandoned building. But this time, he knocked. The girl opened the door, eyes wide with fear. "I'm not here to hurt you," Ethan said softly. "My name is Ethan." The mother struggled to sit up. "Sir, please, we don't want trouble." Ethan knelt down. "I want to help." Tears rolled down the woman's face. They hadn't heard those words in years. Part 7. The Miracle No One Expected. Within hours, the mother was taken to a private hospital. Diagnosis: severe but treatable illness. Days turned into weeks. The girl, whose name was Lily, visited her mother every day. Ethan visited too. He brought books, warm clothes, toys, but more importantly, he listened. He learned that Lily's father had died in a factory accident, that the company refused compensation, that they lost their home, that Lily never complained. Not once. Part 8. The final shocking reveal. One evening, Ethan was going through old documents. A name caught his eye: the factory where Lily's father died. It belonged to one of Ethan's companies. Ethan's hands shook. He investigated and discovered the truth. The compensation was never paid due to corporate negligence. His company, his responsibility. Ethan fell to his knees. Part 9. Redemption. Ethan didn't try to hide the truth. He took full responsibility, paid compensation with interest, publicly apologized. He shut down corrupt management. But that wasn't all. He adopted Lily, legally, officially. For the first time, Ethan wasn't eating alone. Ending the powerful message. Years later, at a charity gala, a young girl stood confidently on stage. "Lily, people think heroes wear capes," she said into the microphone. "But sometimes, they just follow you home." The crowd stood in tears. Ethan smiled, not as a millionaire, but as a father. Fire end message for viewers. Sometimes the smallest people carry the biggest burdens. And sometimes, one act of kindness can rewrite destiny.